My name is Bland Hoke.
And I'm Howard Chambers.
Howard and I live in New York City, and on literally every single street corner you'll find scaffolding. It's everywhere. There's so much of it, there's about 6,000 of them, and if you line them up end to end to end to end, this tunnel would be about 300 kilometers long, and that's just in New York City. So we thought this was a great opportunity to think about something that most people think is mundane and overlooked as a great opportunity for innovation. So what we're doing is Softwalks is built on about 3 ideas: that small changes in cities can have a big effect, and that innovating within existing infrastructure is ideal, and lastly, that designing for people in cities is going to be very critical in the future. So we're going to start with a very small example and a short story. So about 7 years ago, the Department of Transportation in New York decided to close down a street to cars and just toss out a couple chairs and tables just to see how people would use the space. And it was amazing. They flocked like ants. It was just like a little hive of activity. So what we're trying to do is build on that momentum, because there are literally plaza spaces everywhere throughout New York City now. So for Softwalks, we've designed a kit of parts that attaches to standard scaffold systems. It's a planter, it's a chair, it's a counter. And these simple little amenities have the capacity to provide a whole new type of experience on the street.
So we're going to jump back 50 years, and as many of you know, Brasilia was a breakthrough moment for modernism. And it looks beautiful, but once you get down to the street level, you can't help but wonder how it works for people and for the human operation at the human scale. So going back to New York, we look at the Plaza program, and we see how people are interacting on the human scale. And we also learned that this light, quick, and inexpensive tactics worked beautifully to test out new experiments without a lot of investment or risks. And now here in San Francisco, we go even closer to just the single person. And this is a brilliant example of how you can use existing systems in new ways. So you just simply put a coin in, but rather than parking, you have an instant pop-up park. So if we pull all of these ideas together, we see how cities change drastically just from yesterday, and the function of them do. And if we can use these small incremental changes, we can create this potential for huge change quickly.
Yeah. So we're looking at the functionality of cities, the function of public space, and even the function of scaffolding. So the way we developed this project was looking at human behaviors as they are on the street. So this gentleman is leaning on a scaffold. So let's turn that into a chair and work with the existing structural system. And it's important to note that these are incredibly strong structures, and a lot of the hardware is over-designed. So proposing to attach a planter is not really a big issue, but it really has a big effect for pedestrians when they have a little bit of greenery in their life. And the next point that we're going to make is that Softwalks is great for pedestrians, but it's also great for businesses. So if you have scaffolding in front of your business, it might look like you're under construction, or maybe you shut down for the season, but simply attaching a very simple counter to a scaffold, like these girls, they walked out of their little coffee shop and started using this thing like it was supposed to be there, which is great. So this is a great example of trying to build more capacity and functionality into public space, because consider the fact that if we were to continue designing cities where streets are just for cars or scaffolding is just to protect pedestrians, public space is going to suffer the consequences of that lack of functionality. And on a longer view, if we were to look towards about 2050, it's projected that 80% of the world's population is going to be flooding into and living in urban centers by then. And with all these cultures and people and situations, we really need to make sure that public space can function in diverse and myriad ways to support all these different ideas and people.
And as soon as these scaffolding structures go up, it creates this instant void and eyesore on the street. So our kit of parts activates this underutilized space, and it enables people to use it different times of day, different seasons, and for very different demographics. And with this flood of all these people coming into our cities, we're inspired by great thinkers. And the basic idea that they've taught us is the understanding that healthy cities offer diversity, places to interact, and chance encounters on the street level. Furthermore, cities should be designed for people, and cities work best when they're designed for people. And that just simply means more places to sit, more places to create spaces for people to interact and understand our human tendencies. So far, we've been working with local organizations such as scaffolding companies and other local areas in New York, but we hope to bring the same thinking to other places in the world, and we'd like to partner with new organizations and new companies that can see this thinking applied to their issues. And finally, design is meant to make the world around us a better place, and the simple understanding that social interaction, caring for others, and imagination are things that we're born with. And if design can help reestablish these basic understandings, then we think it's a project worth doing.
Definitely.
Thank you.